So now that we have all the van clean from the seats and the van is ready to be worked on, you can see it's all empty. Now what I want to do next is starting clearing up the center dash with you know, there is all these cables that I don't know where they were coming from. There is leftovers from the previous installation of the audio system, and I also want to install the center head unit, and change the speakers on the doors first. So that's what we are gonna do first, just so that we can sort of complete the top part of the dash, and we also have to position the radios. And what else? Let me think. Yeah, I think that's about it. Then once this is done, I can pass the cable for the secondary battery from the front all the way to the back, and then take care of the back. But first, I think it's good idea to finish up the dash first, which doesn't require too much work, and then make sure that all the connections and all the things that we need to add to the van are well thought for, and then we'll go from there. Let me show you just real quick a bunch of the tools I'm gonna use. Like when I started doing these things, I didn't have any of these tools, but then with the years building more and more vehicle, I had to buy some, and then I decided that it was a good idea anyway to invest in this kind of tools. So this is a kit of you know, trim removal tools. I haven't used all of them. Some of them I don't even know what they are for, but they're really useful for getting into areas where it's difficult to get with your hands, and just pry off whatever panel you need to. And this is a similar use. These tools and these tools have a similar use here. They're just basically wedgers, so you put them in between the panel and then you can pry it out. And then I have, obviously this is just a screwdriver, not much to say there. And then there is these ones that are also very cool, because these are metal, so these are solid and they don't bend, they don't break. And as you can see, there is this particular shaped head, and this basically lets you go inside a screw and then pull it out. And these are usually used on the door panels that have this kind of I cannot find them right now, but when I will remove the door, I'll show you. They have a special plastic screws that you know, otherwise they will break. Although you might always want to have some spare, because as I'll show you, it's always a good idea since they are weak as plastic screws anyway. And then I have a multimeter here. That's just to check basically if there is current or not, negative and positive poles. And I'm gonna use this to check the cabling here for the center dash. So another thing I need to do here is remove this piece that is weak. As you see, they didn't put all the screws, I guess, there, or something is not quite fixed, and there must be something else under there, because I couldn't find still all the cables that I need for the stereo. So I think and I'm hoping that some connections are basically going down there all the way into this piece here. So that said, I'm gonna take care of these connections first, clean it up, check which one is positive 12 volt, which one is a key 12 volt, because these are the two main things you need to install the head unit. And then I'm gonna have to think about all the things that go to the dash, because I have the two radios, the VHF and the CB. The dash cam goes all the way to the top there and is connected to the head unit. The two cameras are connected to the head unit, front and rear camera. So this head unit is really cool because it has all these connections and is not super expensive like a cam would that was about $1,000. But we'll get to the head unit once we install it. Right now I'm just gonna start testing. One thing that you need to pay attention when you replace these speakers here and you change the audio system is that some of the latest Delicas also have these speakers just under this panel. Now this one is not coming out because there are these buttons here, this pull button and the hood open, but you can see that basically there is a speaker there, and this has to be disconnected in order for your audio system to work properly, if you are not planning to replace that, or if you don't take into account that there are these speakers in your sound system. Now, since my speakers already have two ways in here, I don't really need these ones, so I'm gonna just remove those and get rid of them. Now, to access to this piece here that is moving, I'd like to figure out how to remove this piece here, and I know that I can remove these two. Let me show you. And I know that I can remove these two. I know that I can remove these two screws here, one and one, and so that this metal piece will come off, and this will probably be more free. And I probably need to remove also this part here, so that is gonna be a little bit more tricky. I have to figure out. So I disconnected this. This is the glove box. You can see it's pretty cool. There is the actual original manual here. That's fantastic. All in Japanese, obviously, absolutely useless for us, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. And then these two things are actually the limiters on the side that basically prevent this from happening, so that the hinge doesn't break. But for now I just need this to be easily accessible, because we have to wire stuff inside here, so that's good. It's really nice the way Japanese vehicles are wired. Everything is really simple, really clean and clear, and it's one thing that I really like about these vehicles. The wiring is kept to a minimum, and it's easy to understand as well. So first of all, we need to remove the speaker from here, and then I'm gonna try to remove here. There's a screw, so I'm gonna remove these two screws from the bottom, and then remove that one, and see if this one comes out, and then access this. Yeah, so I removed those three screws, and there were two more on the side here and there, and basically this came right out. When you remove it, be careful, because there is the little light here. In order to disconnect these from the box, from the metal box, you have to twist it and then pull it away. If you pull the box out without twisting the light, you're gonna break it, so be really careful. Now you'll never be able to find something like this again. I think maybe we can switch this with an LED one. I'm not sure. I don't really bother. I don't really need the tray anyway, so nobody's gonna smoke in this car. But that's about it. So now we should be able to get to this fairly simply, and this should just come out, but for some reason it's not, and we need to figure out why. So it is a little bit convoluted in here, so I'm just gonna see if I can remove it. Another advice is never pull connection. If this doesn't come, there is definitely a locking mechanism. No connection is so strong to resist like a hard pull like that, so we just need to figure out a way of taking that that connection out. So I'm prying here. I see there is some sort of locking thing, I suppose. So I'm gonna use this tiny and long screwdriver. I like this thing because it fits pretty much anywhere. There we go. I think it was just a bit stuck. Sometimes another thing you can do is put a little bit of WD-40 or something in there, but I think I'm gonna have to remove these two. Maybe this one will break free afterwards, I don't know. So there's more screws. I cannot stress enough the importance of putting back the screws in their holes whenever possible. It's not always possible to do that, because you know, at times like you just don't have the clip in the place, so you can screw the screw in, but most of the time it is, and it's really important because there are very different kind of screws. You'll forget I may remove the watch, I forgot to remove it after lunch. You will definitely forget which ones goes where, and so it's good practice. For example, now I'm removing this panel here with just 2 screws, and I'm gonna put them back. You see here there is another one, and when you put the panel on, it makes automatically sense where it has to be screwed on, and once you have the screws there, you're never gonna have a problem. And it's also very quick to put everything back, because that's what takes the most time when you do this thing. Okay, here we go. So now we started seeing something here, right? So there is all sort of cables going back, and then there is something here. Let's remove these two. And there is this stuff. Holy moly. Okay, so as you can see, most of these things are disconnected. And these things are here. And I feel like this is the actual stereo stuff. What the other stuff is. Usually when you have a connection like this with this thing that is picking basically the current from somewhere else, it means that is either a 12 volt or is a ignition cable, so that only works when the car is on. But we have to use the tester and double check before being sure. So yeah, that's the problem when you buy stuff, you know, aftermarket stuff, and you don't know exactly what you find, but hopefully we can get what we need. So what happens sometimes is that on the boat to come here from Japan to come to Canada or wherever they're going, they steal the main head units, and so you are left with all this nonsense that now we need to fix. So it turns out the speaker's connection is right here. It was a little bit hidden in there, but it's just here. So these are all the speakers, and we just need to adapt this one and plug that one into the radio, and this one is the antenna. So we are all good here actually, and we can move on into cleaning up this shit. You see all this crap that doesn't make any damn sense. It's a mess really, and then we can start installing the other radio. Alright, so I've cleaned up all the dash. There is only a couple of things that I need to cut. These cables, I'm gonna take care of them afterwards, and then the dash is now all clean. I've removed all this crap that they've done, and I've kept these couple of connections here just because they could be handy, since they have fuses already, and you know, a couple of nice waterproof connections here. And what I'm doing now, I have removed this black cable, which is a negative, and it was connected to that screw over there, and I'm gonna do a better grounding connection. So this is the screw, which is pretty good for the connection, and I'm gonna have to put a better cable in there. So what I've taken here, this is a 14 gauge wire, and that's quite a bit thicker than this one that was used before, and that's because I'm gonna have to connect the radios to this ground, as well as the head unit, and probably some other things that now I can't remember, but I'm lacking a positive to wire the head unit. The only positive I have is the one from the cigarette lighter, which I'm not too happy about. It's still a thin wire, although it's a little bit better than that one, but I think I'd rather have a unique positive that I can use for all the accessories that are gonna go here, because I'm sure that is not just the 2 radios and the head unit. There's gonna be something else that right now I don't remember, or maybe something that I want to add later, so I'd rather do that. So let me show you here. So the battery is here. It's a big battery. I'm not sure what brand is it, and if it's an original Mitsubishi battery, but I'm just gonna disconnect the cables. And the reason why I need to remove the battery is that behind the battery, supposedly there is a hole where I can pass the cables through. So that is what I'm gonna do now, and hopefully that is true. And then I need to unscrew these 2 bolts here that take the battery, they push the battery down, and then I'm gonna have to remove the battery cables as well. So I need to remove these and that, and hopefully then I can get through the car. Another problem of working outside is that when there is no light, you are basically screwed. And since it's October, the light is gonna go very early. I think it's about what, 5 o'clock right now or something, and the sun is already going down. Maybe 6. I have no idea what time is it, but so I don't have a lot of time to do that. So I'm gonna have to probably keep working tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna just try to get this cable passed through here, and then since I have removed the battery, at that point I can also pass the cable from the battery that has to go to the other battery, so the thick cable. I don't know how big that hole, the pass-through hole is, the firewall hole, so I need to check that. But yeah, I just have to remove the battery now and see. Yeah, I mean, this is the battery. It's definitely not a sealed battery, as you can see, so I'm gonna replace it with a sealed battery. I don't like to deal with acids and levels and chemicals, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. It doesn't say what brand is it or anything, so I'm not sure what this thing is. No, it doesn't say anything. It says some things in Japanese, but I have no idea what this is. I'm gonna search for this number, for this serial number 85D26R, and take a look what I find. And so here, supposedly, this is where the battery lies, and then supposedly there is a hose, sorry, a hole. Supposedly there is a hole that goes to the other side, but I don't see anything. To be completely honest with you, I mean, I don't know what you can see right now because this is really bad.